another one. I haven't done this in a minute. Well, this is based on actually what my content calendar is like. So maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I do these candid videos every once in a while. People seem to like them. I don't know why. Maybe they like me. That'd be weird to say out loud, but I said it. Maybe people like me. That's kind of awkward. Anyways, I decided to make another candid video because a few reasons. One, I need to clear my throat and drink water because evidently the second I start recording a video, my throat decides to, you can hear how it sounds right now. That makes no sense. There's something like stuck in it. I don't know. Yeah, so as you can tell, this is going to be a candid video because editing will be minimal. I will just be talking about a topic, that I'm interested in. And so I got this table that I put my mic on, but I kind of replaced it with a different table because I'm like in between moving out when I'm recording this. I'm recording this on August 10th. So we shall see when you guys see it. I actually have the calendar here. Maybe you will be seeing it. You know what? That doesn't matter. Anyways, I am going to make this video and it'll come out eventually. And this is going to be on the topic of productivity apps and how I've been using productivity apps for like a year. And it's been really life-changing for me. So I wanted to make a video talking about the different ways it's been life-changing and all those sort of things. To get started, the first productivity app I used was called OneNote. It's by Microsoft. It's like their note-taking app. And I used it because my boss at an internship told me that I should write down what I'm doing every day. And he showed me how he used OneNote. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it turned into like my to-do list. And then from there, everything changed. I would say that the OneNote was kind of short-lived. I think I used that for probably like 2 months. Probably from maybe 3 actually. Sorry, from like all my internship, which is like 2 months, and then a month of school, maybe a couple weeks of school, probably like 10 weeks. It's kind of crazy, like that was my whole thing, and I was very passionate about OneNote being so cool because you can sync it with all your devices. It has an app on the iPhone, and then I found out what Notion was, and then everything changed. I was really excited about using OneNote and Microsoft Calendar together because I have a PC and it seemed to be working well. And it was cool, like putting all my due dates down for the semester on my Microsoft Calendar. And I was like, oh, I can plan when I'm going to do it. And then I stumbled across Thomas Frank's Notion video. And I was like, oh, this is better. This is much better. I think Notion is definitely my go-to productivity app. And I've been using that for the longest amount of time. I'm trying to think of the moment that I remember seeing Notion past just Thomas Frank's video that made me like concrete think that it's going to be my thing. I think I saw an Ali Abdaal video pretty shortly after. So those two guys, as per usual, along with Matt, usually are the influences that I have. FYI, I'm actually recording this the day after A Day in the Life of a Minimalist video. No. The video I talk about that in my last Candid Convo. Maybe there's another one in between this. I don't know. But the last Candid Convo, I think, was how minimalism saved my life. People seem to really be liking that. It's ranking for the word minimalism in search. Kind of shook. Kind of happy with that. YouTube SEO, baby. Got to do what you got to do. But yeah, no, it's been crazy how fun this series is to make. People really like when I get just like down into my thoughts on a topic. So I decided, why not make a couple of these before the semester starts so that it'd be good content. I got like 20 minutes for one of the videos. I had like 30 minutes for another of the videos, and the editing's minimal. The scripting's minimal. I just outlined some thoughts, and then I just go off the top of my head, and then that's pretty much it. But anyways, I found out that Notion was a really great app from Thomas Frank, and then Ali Abdaal talked about his residence calendar, which I thought was cool, which I put on my Notion, which is very short-lived. That's essentially like bookmarking stuff that you think is really resonating with you. And then I was just like, okay, well, like this is cool, but I'm never doing anything with the information, so I just kind of cut it out. But yeah, I mean, I want to talk a little bit about how using the productivity apps has really changed my life, because how I used to go about school beforehand, about planning things in general, it was very off the top of my head, just very thinking, the morning of, okay, what do I have to do today? I did actually have a planner. Should I go find it? Maybe I should go find it. Maybe. No, I'm not going to go find it. That should have been pre-video. That was bad, Demetri. Anyways, it was just like a little planner that had like, when my homework, it didn't have when my homework was due. I just wrote like what was due when I was in class and that sort of thing. So that was helpful for school. I think everyone needs that to be organized at the minimum. But, I went from that, so kind of reactive learning, to proactive learning. Proactive, is that the word? I feel like proactive is the name of it. Either a food that's like a drug or a drug. I'm not sure. Anyways, I went to being that's just a word. I went to being proactive about how I go about planning my school, and I wrote out exactly what was due at different parts of the year for the semester on a big to-do list for Notion, and then I would plan out doing the homework about a week in advance for each class, and that was much better. I was never stressed from that point on about when things were due. Finals ended up coming each semester. I was like, okay, cool, finals. And I will say this, even my second semester of my senior year, there was an essay or 2 essays due at the end of the semester. And I thought I was cutting it close, and then I realized, well, you had planned to do it, and you had planned to finish it around when the end was coming, because conceptually you had already studied for your other finals, so you were just writing the essay kind of as you were getting close, and you had time to proofread it as well. It was like, oh, Demetri, you're doing all this procrastinating because you're doing YouTube and stuff. And then I realized to myself, well, if you plan out in like a month in advance that's when you're going to do it, are you really procrastinating? Because you're just doing other things leading up to it that were productive. So I'm very not reactive about my learning anymore. I go with what I need to do, and doing what I need to do is really something that I've learned to do in the past year since I've used productivity apps. I think when you have planning in your life, it's a lot better. And the first step of planning was Notion, and the first step of planning was making the task calendar and the things to plan page. And things to plan is just like my giant to-do list, and then I drag it into the task calendar. When I do my planning each week, I do like planning twice a week. I've talked about this process before in a couple videos, but I know the three tools to maximize productivity or something. Is that the name of video I made? That's funny, I can't remember on videos, and then I also made the Notion video, which, by the way, speaking of ranking for search, thank God I made that video. It's like a consistent, what they call an evergreen topic. That's going to get a couple views from Notion search-wise pretty much for a while. Going to try to make more productivity-related app videos. Probably will have made some by the time this comes out. Anyways, I went further past Notion, and I started doing something called time blocking, and I use Google Calendar for it. And Google Calendar is amazing. I've been using Google Calendar since literally the week of Halloween, 2019. I feel like 2020 is like a taboo word now, like 2020 is just not, it's just not it. The start of 2020, actually, funny side note, my family was like, 2020 is going to be the best. My parents and my brother were really excited for 2020. It seemed to be like a nice, it was like a decade change, and it was like a cool, like, all right, let's turn over a new leaf in some things in our lives that we aren't quite happy about. Not that we really have much to worry about, but regarding just like, okay, cool, new 10 years, let's start off on the right foot. And January is great, February is pretty great, and then March happens, and it's just like not a good time. So yeah, that was pretty funny. But anyways, I've been making time blocking making time blocking a part of my life and having a time block schedule since probably October 27th, or whatever the Monday was of the October 31st week. And it's been awesome. I plan out when I'm going to do things. I plan out what time frames I have to do things, and then I put the tasks within them on Notion. And that kind of two-pronged approach has really been something that's helped me a lot. I think, talking a little bit next about what I wanted to figure out how to say was that, you go through productivity apps and things change and you see what people do. And what's really funny is that Matt D'Avella made a video. Can't make this up. Literally can't make this up. Matt D'Avella made a video about how he time blocked all of his time for I want to say 3 months or something. It probably was more than a month. I think he was just acknowledging that he had used time blocking. I think he made it in November, maybe, or December, something like that. And no, maybe he had done it for a month. I'm trying to think. Basically what I'm saying is he made a video about time blocking late in 2019. And the amount of time that he had said he had started time blocking with was the exact same amount of time that I had started to time block with. So when I started, like I said, end of October. He started in October at some point and then made a video about it a month and a half later. And I was like, this guy and I literally started time blocking at the exact same moment. And he's my favorite. And I mirror a lot of things after him, but nobody had any idea he was doing this. He hadn't talked about it at all. And we had just both had to start time blocking at the exact same time. It was really mind blowing. And I was like, man, if I made YouTube videos, I could acknowledge that. And now I get to, wow, it's been months. I guess by the time this is uploaded, it could almost be a year since he did that, whatever. Math, no, English, hard. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's really cool to see how, I watch these videos and I kind of tweak some things. And from that thing of he and I knowing that we did something at the exact same time, it's wow, I could be doing something that's similar to all these people that I admire. And another thing that I wanted to talk about was, over the year, I implemented some new things. I started off with just I have a huge to-do list, right? And I put it on my task calendar of when I'm going to do it. And I plan twice a week, on Sundays and Wednesdays. That had been from the very start. That was just intuitive. I didn't even have any video that kind of inspired me to do that. And then, in late October, I figured out, okay, let's do time blocking. I think Keep Productive made a video about time blocking. And that was kind of what got me going on that. So I time blocked with Google Calendar. And I think he used Apple Calendar in his example, which I didn't like. And then moving forward with that, I took some looks at my different parts of my process in Notion and tweaked it over time. I implemented a reflection once a week and time tracking, which I liked for probably for a month and a half. So I implemented time tracking when winter break started. Oh my God. Okay, hear me out on this. Time tracking is great for a certain time period. So let's say you have, I use Toggl, by the way, Toggl is the name of the app. It tracks your time. You have to input it all the time, which is annoying. It does sync well with Google Calendar. If you you have to manually input it, but it's half done for you on your iPhone. And it's cool, to track your time at the end of the week to see how much time you spend on certain categories. I categorize it into working out, into work, schoolwork, social, scheduling and reflection. Those are my main categories, which I talk about in my free ebook, 10 Steps to Saving Time and Doing More. Plug. And then, I went through doing the process of I would track my hours every week and then reflect on it. And doing that for 3 or 4 months, I think I did that from early December, no, mid-December to, actually I did it from mid-December till about July of 2020. Mid-December 2019 to July of 2020. Because I did the journaling challenge, if you guys remember. Journal for 30 days, and I was like, I can't do this reflection at the same time. And I had already been kind of really not liking tracking my time anymore. And I realized, I had a catalog of 6 months of of examples of how many hours a week it would take me to work out, or how many hours a week it would take me to do schoolwork when I had a certain amount of classes. And I could do that. And I was like, well, I got like a 3.8.5 or 3.9. So I was like, all right, that amount of time proportionally per class is going to be the case. You know, I had my capstone classes and graduate courses. So it was like a pretty good representation of something that was going to be, you know, especially for online learning, it's going to be a thing going forward for me for a while. So when I made my block schedule for the fall semester, I was like, perfect, I have it. I don't need to time block anymore. I would suggest this if you're time track. So if you're going to track your time, I would suggest using Toggl for about a month and a half. Figure out your averages. You know, how many hours a week does it take you to work out? How many hours a week do you spend with your friends normally? How many hours a week do you spend with your family, eating, what else? Like doing actual work, schoolwork if you're in school, and say you're happy with the grades you got, then you keep like that number of hours the same, and you time block accordingly based on your tracking. Like you set up an initial time block and you try to keep it similar, and you make some goals, and maybe the goals aren't accurate. Like for me, I had planned to do a little bit more schoolwork than ended up needing to be done. So I had to like lower the amount of time this fall semester for that. Now, or not, actually not lower, I'd probably keep it the same because I have an extra class, if that makes any sense. And then the time for working on things like YouTube and such, similar, maybe a little less, maybe an uptick in the social aspect because I don't know, I have this bad habit. I think I'm a workaholic. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I think I like working, so maybe it's not the right word. I just like it. I don't know. So I have a bad habit of falling into just working a bunch. Like I would have school, and then like 40 hours of my week would also be spent on like when I built out the website and wrote the book. Yeah, that was ridiculous. I would do like 40 hours of that, like 20 hours of school, work out. That was kind of crazy. Looking back at my like time tracking at that time, maybe like 30, 15. 20 was probably an accurate representation of that split, and my grades were really good. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna keep doing this. What else am I trying to say? What was I trying to say? Yeah, do your time tracking for a certain amount of time. Figure like only like 4 to 6 weeks. Find the averages and then time block accordingly in a, you know, secondary sort of thing. If you have the same job, right? If you have the same course load, don't really change anything with your time blocking, because or unless you feel like something's missing, you know, unless you feel like your social life is really struggling, unless you feel like your work is really struggling because you're not putting enough hours in, unless you feel like your schoolwork's struggling because you're not putting enough hours in, then you can adjust. But if you feel like everything's going well, then keep it how it is and stop time tracking after that. Unless you made an adjustment and you want to double check the adjustment for another couple weeks, then do that. But yeah, no, me doing it for 6 months was very excessive. But because of that, I was able to do something called a framework, which is like I would plan out different days of the week that I was able to do specific tasks. You know, like I said, I plan on Wednesdays. I've then made frameworks for like I have like, what is it? It's not a gallery view. It's a table view. No, not a table view. It's a board view in Notion, and it kind of looks like a time block sort of, and it would show like when I plan to do different tasks during my time blocks during the week, and then like with the actual concrete stuff that would happen would be in my task and event calendar. But the framework was kind of an idea of, you know, Wednesday is my YouTube recording days, Monday was my blog writing days when I wrote the blog, Tuesday was my script writing days. Like I had different things planned, and that was the framework. So that's something I added over throughout the year. And then Thomas Frank again coming clutch with the video project template tracker, or video project tracker that he has on his YouTube videos that he made, I think early in 2020, right? And I went back on that video and I was like, okay, I'm making a YouTube channel. I'm going to track all my videos, have all my stuff there, and it's been really awesome to me. So Thomas, thank you so much for that. Then I also have the training plan calendar that I recently made this summer. It's basically like all my different running. I track the mileage there. I don't really like running apps or running social media because I don't want to get caught in the loop of like looking at other people's stuff. I don't know if you guys know what Strava is, but technically I have a private Strava, but I I don't want anyone to look at mine or vice versa, because then it leads into it being social media, which I am not completely against, but conceptually I'm just against wasting time, and running social media to me is a huge waste of time. And that's coming from a guy who runs all the time. So like, I just think it's a waste of time. Coffee break. Speaking of coffee break, that was CoffeeZilla's main channel before he switched to making CoffeeZilla content more. Great name for a channel though. Key note, if you have coffee, you have water, do a minor swish in your mouth, tooth decay. Just doing that with coffee is good to prevent tooth decay, because coffee is acidic or something. I read. I don't know. I think it helps. Anyways, what I was talking about, running Strava and stuff is like kind of a waste of time, in my opinion. If you find enjoyment from it, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But my whole point there was I made some changes throughout the year, and I was happy with the changes I've made. Some of the initial stuff, I was just really into it, and Notion took me a fair amount of time to get, like my grasp on. I would say with productivity apps, take the time you need to invest into learning how to use it, and don't look back. People don't use productivity apps for all these reasons of, well, I'm going to have to put a bunch of time setting things up. There's a bunch of templates to help you out. Me, I just wanted to build something myself, but you got guys like Danny Hatcher, who's one of my good friends here on YouTube, who I had in the podcast before, and I've been on his live stream, and he talks a lot about different templates that he's made, and then he lets you use them, and honestly, they're great. And I would suggest going and checking out Danny for great Notion templates if you want help. I know Thomas Frank, Ali Abdaal, all those guys make great videos, keep productive. I mean, just look at different things that you can draw from, make it yourself, find out your workflow, and honestly, in like a week or 2 weeks, you'll figure it out. And it's like 1 to 2 weeks of time invested, and then you gain back countless weeks, hours, whatever, in time back from the fact that you plan properly and you execute properly, rather than wasting time, which a lot of us don't realize that we're doing if we don't time block, if we don't actually plan our tasks for the day. I think in the middle of everything, I didn't want to make changes. I think I was set in my ways. And then, as the summer came, as I kind of had a change of scenery going home, I was like, some of these things can be tweaked. I think recently, what kind of sucks is, I've been trying to make extra videos, and that kind of got away from the framework that I had for the summer. That's kind of been thrown out the window for about a month, to be honest. It's like relatively there, it's a lot more intuitive, but I do still plan my tasks. It's just the framework isn't followed as much. But when school gets started, it is so much more structured. And I just want to say, conceptually, guys, Thomas Franks talked about this in a podcast before. Kids, were more annoyed with writing their college essays that they had to do conceptually. That's weird, because they weren't, worried about the fact they were going to be told what to do for 4 years or more when they went to college. But the thing is, people really do have a hard time doing things themselves. Planning yourself's hard when you don't have anything to base it off of. When I had work, it was really easy. When I had school, it was really easy. And in the summer, I didn't have that because of the current situation. And me planning all of my tasks for the whole summer, I'm like pretty happy with myself that I kept myself so busy every week. I managed to do at least 40 hours a week, like a normal job, of this stuff, and work out every day. So it was like, good on you, Demetri. That's a productive summer, even though the world kind of took it away from you and a possibility of making money wise. And that's something I just want to get across. Like, if you guys are going to go into productivity apps, know that there might be some ebbs and flows. If you're out of a job, obviously it's going to be harder to plan. If you're self-employed, obviously it's going to be harder to plan. That's why I made frameworks and stuff, so that it was like theoretically what my boss would tell me I'd have to do each day, which I liked. But yeah, Thomas Frank acknowledged this in a podcast and in a video. It is really hard to set your own deadlines, but when you're in school and stuff, you can really base off a lot of your side hustle things off of like when your school stuff's due, and that's going to be easier for me. So that was just a bit of a tangent. But yeah, in the middle months, I didn't want to really edit anything. I was stuck in my ways. Then I realized there was like all this different scope creep that I had. And if you don't know what scope creep is, it's essentially when you have different things come up in your workflow or in a project that really aren't needed to be there, like extra things to tick off, extra properties in Notion that aren't needed, extra relational databases that don't need to exist. And over the past month and a half, I kind of deleted a lot of the old stuff that I noticed I just never use. And it's really made my mind more clear since my workspace and my process is a little more clear and less cluttered. So I recommend taking some time about once a month, do something called like system improvements on Notion, or whatever your task planning thing is, and go and change those things. I had that in my time blocking and then I stopped for a while. Like I had it recurring every month and then I stopped. I would really, right when the summer started, I stopped that. I would really recommend doing a systems improvements thing every month or so that you can keep updating your workflow, because you really don't need to besides more than once a month, but it's actually really helpful to get rid of some of the clutter when you're able to reflect on it more in real time than when I took like 3 or 4 months off of it and I just kind of had to go and plow through a bunch of things I didn't need. So that was that. It was an interesting Candid Convo here. It's about 25 minutes worth of talking. But yeah, no, I mean, productivity apps have just been like my life for a year. And without productivity apps, I wouldn't have been inspired to make videos again. Matt D'Avella definitely did. And I think maybe I would have, but I think definitely I would not be so consistent. I make at least 3 videos a week pretty much. At least at the time I'm recording this, I'm hoping that still rings true. And because of that, I'm going to be consistent enough to be able to be monetized within like 9 months, which just doesn't usually happen. And, it's making YouTube a lot easier than it has been in previous attempts. And I'm really happy about productivity apps. So thanks, Keep Productive. Thanks, Thomas Frank. Thanks, Eli Abdaal. Thanks, even Matt D'Avella. He's mentioned To Do, which is your to-do list. And thanks for just great content on YouTube that's brought me to it. I hope you guys really enjoy my productivity app tutorials and my productivity app breakdowns that I've done. I'm going to hopefully do more of those in the future, but I just wanted to say in a candid convo, that's how my life's been with productivity apps. A lot of rambling, a lot of side tangents, but you know what? I appreciate you. Thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.